It's your boy Concert Viz 34, and today I want to do a review of my first Dave Matthews Band show of the year, which was last night, June 22nd, 2018. And wow, what a show! Nice to see the entire squad back here in my portion of New England. They were in Guilford previously in the month, but I live in the Hartford area, so I always try to hit up Mansfield and Hartford, and Mansfield last night was amazing. I was with my boy Pete, the guy who got me into going to live shows back in 2012. I had always been a D&B fan, but the tools that went to Hartford shows made me not want to go to D&B live because their taste in music were questionable and they were tools. So I looked at him and I was like right after the show, and we were just talking, and he said something that stuck with me because he said if there was one word that I can describe this show that we just saw with, it would be inspired. And this band was inspired, and you saw it in the music. Um, so that's the best thing about seeing them this year for the first time. They have new life. This is what I've been talking about in all my videos for the last year and a half or so, and even before that into last summer. I want this band to be inspired. They've been predictable, they've been cliche, and they've been stuck in a rut. But you know what? They're doing something that many bands don't do as far as the amount of tours they've been on, the amount of limited um, by choice breakups of the band. We've had unfortunate passing of Leroy Moore about a decade ago, but I'm talking people leaving this group. The group stayed together for a long time compared to the average, whatever type of band you want to call. So I mean, they were more inspired than I've ever seen them, and it's really like they've been in a long marriage, and it's hard to get the spark going. But bruh, this show last night, they had the spark going. Another thing that I took away as a quick takeaway is there was only one stand-up song. This has been called the stand-up tour by some of the people who are trying to be critical, but instead of three songs, we got one. Now that's not much of a difference if you think about it in numbers, but if you had a Louisiana Bayou and a Hunger for the Great Light, three stand-ups versus one stand-up can also impact the show even when this band is on fire. So one stand-up song that was dope, and we had No Away from the World, which I'm happy with. Away from the World is a great studio album. The songs are written, to me, some of them are mediocre. They're written in mediocrity. Other ones are written with passion, but they don't stick as well. So we had Away from the World. We'll get some of it back over time, but I'm glad it went away for this part of me going to shows. And the sound was balanced. I heard Dave's guitar multiple times in multiple songs, and he'd even do a Dave solo song. It was a blessing to hear his guitar with the full band. I would like to thank the sound Lord and Savior Jesus Christ who was doing the mixing, because we heard Dave's guitar for different songs. Um, the band in its jams for this show was better than I've ever seen it. Again, I only have a reference of 2012 for live shows. I've listened to tons of shows from 93 to present day, but the jams were on point. Everything was on point, and that's what really made it. That's what made this show. Every single jam was cohesive. It built up, it went down. I hadn't seen that in 2016. That was not the case. And one thing I won't miss about Boyd is his little eaching, the little screech that you get at the beginning of those solos. I will not miss that for this tour. We did miss him for certain songs, but it wasn't the end all be all. It would have been nice to hear him on Graves. It would have been nice to hear him a little bit on 41 and on Ants, but bruh, I do not miss that little etcha, whatever you want to call it, at the beginning. And the jams that they put in place to fill in for Boyd were great. We look at Ants, and the Ants at the beginning, the jams at the end, this Ants that they played to close out the set was just amazing. Especially just again, I've heard some of the ants before, but to be there and feel the energy, wow. It was just, I mean, Rashawn came in with his little joint as far as where Boyd usually plays towards the beginning of the jam, and Rashawn did amazing. And then Jeff comes in, and then you got Buddy popping in, you got Tim popping in, back to Buddy. For Buddy to be a new band member and just fill in, and everyone else to hop in, it was amazing how they did ants. And you can cry about, oh, there's no Boyd. Oh my, how am I gonna move on in life? Like, have you guys been dating the same person for 40 years and you live in the same house since you moved out of your parents' house and you live down the street? I mean, I understand some of the emotions, but the ants was flawless. The other thing we got was So Damn Lucky. We got that tour debut. And the jam at the end was the most inspiring jam that I've seen for So Damn Lucky. They used to play this jam, right? And it was cool, but it just kind of lulled out and it was extended too long. Still a great song. Still a song I will take any day of the week on tour that I go see this band. But the jam that they had, and once the tape, I saw out to the tapers. I saw a taper right by the pit. If you get a taper version of this concert, listen to So Damn Lucky in the jam at the end. It was I can't even explain it, and part of it I have to listen back to it more once we get some taper stuff. But that jam was whew, and you had to thank you for letting me be myself interpolation in it. But it was amazing. Um, and then the other thing that I like, and this is how you keep a marriage fresh, this is how you keep a relationship on point after the 3 or 4 or 5 year mark. You gotta mix it up, you gotta spice it up, you gotta be spontaneous. And Gray Street mid set was amazing. To get that on at the 9 spot, and you see Dave with the 6 string, like, what is he gonna play? You know, what's my boy gonna play? We're gonna get a bartender or something, or are we gonna, what, And I couldn't see which type of 6 string. Although, you know what, looking back, it was the one that he has for that's tuned for standard tuning. So, but anyway, Gray Street was awesome to have at the 9 spot. We get Gray Street all the time at the end, and it's a nice way to end. And I sing the song, and the red blood and the cold blue, blah blah blah, and like I love singing that. And you just start getting up there, and it's a great moment. But to have it mid set was on point. And then you have, and then Lion Our Graves was at the 3 spot, and I have a video pulling up. My camera, and I'm gonna get a new one hopefully for SPAC and some other shows I have in the future. My camera cuts off at 10 minutes, so I got that jam. It's uploading right now as I record this live stream. I got a bunch of stuff going on my YouTube. The Lion Our Graves was great, and then to have Gray Street and 41 all in the same show. And then wait, that's not even the end. Typical comes in at the 16 spot. To have all those songs in the same set, and you're not even at the set closer or the encore, to me, that's what makes a great show. And that's what they're doing. They're mixing and floating songs around. They've had some time off, had the Jimmy Fallon joint yesterday with the Roots, man. I was hoping the Roots would pull up, man. Let's get some Quest. Let's get some Black Thought. One of my favorite rap groups is the Roots, and by the way, their music is amazing still. Some of the last albums, Undone, and Then You Shoot Your Cousin, and How I Got Over, they're on fire too. Anyway, let's get sidetracked. But they've had some time off, and you can tell they were ready. And I'll put in as well the songs that I'm not a big fan of. Now, don't shoot the video reporter here. I don't like Don't Drink the Water in 2018 that much. Now, but this show made me say, yo, this is a dope Don't Drink the Water. Reason I don't like it, I think I like the older kind of arrangement without Tim. I like the slower-ish tempo, and I prefer that at the end, that's when you go ham, not at the beginning where you hear, Tim going dun 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 dun, like really pulling it. But the intro that they've been having over, and I think they had it in 2016, I think too. But I got that intro with the full band, and it was amazing. Don't Drink the Water. You and Me. it's a great wedding song. I don't like it live at shows that much. Um, so when I heard it at this show, it was still amazing. And also, Why I Am, it's actually, I prefer it over a lot of the big whiskey that's been overplayed, but it's not like a, oh, I have to hear Why I Am, but Why I Am was amazing. This is what happens when you have an inspired band. I'm a guy who criticizes set lists, but because the music was just great, and yeah, there were, you had some stuff. She didn't really stick as well live. Come on, I liked it, but it didn't have the energy because people still are they don't know the song unless you're really like a hardcore listening to this album. A lot of fans that come for the classics, come on was beautiful, but people aren't into it as much, and it's not a crowd hyper. But to me, I mean, when you have songs that for me that I critique or I go to the bathroom for, um, and they actually are cohesive, that's when you know you're playing really good. Um, a big complaint by people was that there was a one song encore, and it was, oh my gosh, one song, how can you do this? And 2016 me would be upset. I think we got that in one of the shows I went to. I think that was that Hartford. Yeah, I think it was Hartford, but that was also a good show. But what I'll say about this is just how great the band sounded in the curfew limitations that Mansfield has. I'll take a one song encore, especially because I'm going today. And even if I wasn't going today, still, I mean, this show had, you get a mid set Gray Street, you get a typical, you get an Ants, you get a Lionheart Graves, you get a So Right, okay? Another badge I got is I've heard both So Rights in Mansfield. There's only been two for the venue, and I got both of them, and I'm hashtag blessed. But when you get a great set and when there's a curfew limitation, what do you want the band to do? And you know what I was saying on DMB Family earlier, and last night, my boy drove, so I was on the phone, texting and commenting. Okay, maybe there was a dig in the ditch, digging, there's a ditch. There was a Some Devil. You said, and I love Some Devil. Don't get me wrong. I love Some Devil in that encore one spot. But okay, we missed a Dave solo. Oh my gosh, like, oh, after all these great songs, I'm gonna be pissed about that. No, come on, man. Like, to me, and I get it. Yeah, it would have been nice to ease into that. It's only a 2 minute to 3 minute joint when you have a Dave solo. But at the same time, they have the curfew, and after the show is this great, you got to take what you can get. Carter, and this is what my boy said too. Carter's 61. Okay, this band is getting older for some of the members. Fawn still has a lot more youth, but Tim, Carter, Dave is getting up there in age as well. You got to take what you can get. These guys are literally, you look at a Carter and he's like some of these basketball players that are extending their career, but I mean, it's like the basketball player that they have to ice, they have to stretch 15 times longer, they can't play as loud as they used to, and Carter's pouring his heart out. So you got to take what you can from this band, and to me, this was an amazing show. But this is why I say, and this is my thing. I prefer Hartford over Mansfield just because of there's no encore limitations, really. Now, Hartford, they're not going to let you play till 3 in the morning, but some of the longest shows in the last 5 to 10 years have been in the Hartford shows, especially the night twos and even some night ones. So that's better. And the traffic situation is better because you can park a mile away. Now, and I told people this, and there were complaints. You go to Mansfield for anything. I don't care if it's you hate DMB and you're a deadhead. Shout out to the Dead Alpine. I can't wait. Once I get back tomorrow night, I'm going to sleep in, and then I got next week off from work. I'm going to be listening to them Alpine sets, because them boys, I saw them sets from Dead Income. Anyway, I'm getting side. You got to stop sidetracking me, people. Just comment, yo, mark it, yo, stop. Anyway, but what was I saying? Yeah, this is why I like Hartford better, and this is why I'm glad Hartford's a Saturday. There's, they don't really have a curfew that's as strict because it's a city. And again, the parking situation. But be safe out there. There's supposed to be thunderstorms. I really don't think the thunderstorms are going to be all day. It's really impossible for our climate, the lack of humidity, the mountains we have to the west of us, just to be a meteorologist. This is why I think Hartford is better because of the curfew and the parking situation. Now, I tell people premier parking, premier parking, premier parking. People were still 12, 1 o'clock on Facebook groups and everywhere else on the forums complaining about it. You got to get premier parking. You got to get it. It's $50, but if you're going to Mansfield, it's the best $50 you will pay. As I say, I've gotten out of 65,000, 70,000 fans going to Gillette Stadium just down the road in Foxborough, and they have the same problem. It's in a small town, but there's 2 lanes each way. But I've gotten out of with 70,000 people trying to leave. I've gotten out of there quicker than I've gotten out of at Mansfield for the free lot. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting. My Lion Our Grace partials coming up. I have the second part of it, kind of the prize part as well, that I'll put in a second video. Because again, my 10-minute limitation for my recordings. But it's your boy ConcertViz34. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. Enjoy this band. They are on fire. They are on fire. Boyd is not there, but they have filled in a void with energy, inspiration, and new jams. Man. All right, I'm out.